Okay then guys, what is going on? Cloud Plays here and welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're inside of Starfield where we have got loads of information for you guys, including Todd Howard's eventual retirement, and we're going to talk about that as Bethesda fans will be extremely sad to hear about retirement time period for Todd Howard. And we're also going to talk about Starfield being the best-selling game in September. We've got some stats here for you guys. On top of it, though, they are in for the awards, and it's only a few days left until the Joystick Awards actually take place. So we're going to go through that as well. Also on top of that though, we've got some other talks about retirements and some in-game pieces that you guys need to hear about. With that being said though, if you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. Now with that being said, let's dive on in to some of the Starfield news. So starting off, this article here by Games Radar states, Todd Howard's eventual retirement looms over Bethesda fans as post-Starfield departures begin. Can't even imagine what a Bethesda game would look like without Todd's influence. And this is a very, very solid point. And this guy has had such an amazing input in everything that we know within the RPG open world planets inside of the game, whether it's Fallout, Skyrim, we're looking at Starfield now. This is crazy. But they go on to state, Starfield developers begin to depart Bethesda after the release of the studio's massive RPGs. Some fans are despondently casting their minds forward to the eventual departure of the studio lead, Todd Howard. Earlier this week, Bethesda marketing exec Pete Hines announced that he was retiring from the studio after 24 years. Shortly after he came to the news of lead quest designer Will Shen departing to join a new open world project. Now, this is far from cause for concern. Both developers are Bethesda veterans who have been working on Starfield for many years, and it's relatively normal for devs to hold out at a studio just long enough to finish one big project before moving elsewhere to start work on another. But in spite of that, in the eyes of some Bethesda fans, these departures are merely foreshadowing of another Todd Howard's. And this is not wrong to say the least. We are going to get into in just a moment the retirement of Pete Hines, because that is some absolutely ginormous news. But the likelihood is that Howard's likely to remain in his role for a good while longer. In the run-up to Starfield, Howard, which is now 53, began discussing how long he's likely to keep working. Back in June, he suggested that The Elder Scrolls 6 might be his final game in an interview online. And with the former still at least 3 years away, and the later likely to follow several years after that, there's a chance that in a decade's time, Howard is no longer at the helm, which is absolutely crazy to try and imagine. But both Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 remain little more of a pipe dream, rough drafts of the whiteboard somewhere, but the impact that Howard's version of Bethesda will have on an eventual shape of both of those games probably can't be overstated. After all, even with as much as a decade left, some fans are already prepared for Howard's departure as he approaches his final games. This is so saddening to think, and I know that a decade kind of sounds like a long time, but when we look at it on a general basis of how long some of these games take to release, we're probably looking at maybe another 2-3 titles from Bethesda with Todd Howard at the helm, which is so disappointing to say the least. But somebody who has now officially retired is Pete Hines, and when we hear that name, we think of Skyrim, we think of Fallout, we think of all of these amazing titles, as he put up a post stating, Pete Hines, SVP, head of publishing for Bethesda Softworks, has announced his decision to retire. Pete's public presence was only a small part of his role at Bethesda, although the way he represented us carried over into the values he nurtured here. Authentically, integrity, and passion. His contributions have been integral in building Bethesda and its family of studios into the world-class organization that it is today. His vision helped push us forward, and his hard work inspired us. We're thankful for his 24 years of leadership and wish him the best in his next chapter. We'll miss you, Pete. And I think that that is definitely something that we can all relate to, with a lot of these titles having such massive impacts. Especially for me, Fallout and Skyrim were two titles that had such a massive impact on my gaming childhood that it is absolutely disappointing, to say the least, to see these people go. But Starfield is yet to push through, as despite Game Pass, Starfield was the best-selling game of September, which is absolutely huge as it managed to hold off Mortal Kombat and EA Sports FC 2024, including other titles such as Payday, The Crew, Armored Core 6, Hogwarts Legacy, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, some really big titles, and Starfield just held its own, which is absolutely mental and such an amazing thing to see. But something that we do need to make sure is that Starfield holds its own in other formats. The Golden Joysticks Award are now being nominated through these categories. Starfield has gone in for the best audio, best visual design, and Xbox game of the year. And with only a couple of days left for voting, the links are down in the description. You guys can go and check those out. If you are a Starfield fan, make sure you have your voice heard, because it is absolutely integral towards these joystick voting movements. But some things inside of the game which will disappoint you is the Red Mile. Now, Bethesda Game Studios actually posted up saying the Red Mile is an infamous gambling den that offers one of the deadliest challenges in the settled systems. Now, this happens to be a really frustrating area of the game for me, main reason being, and based on the comments to this post, I feel like a lot of people agree, the Red Mile is the infamous gambling den that you can't gamble at. Yep, you heard me right. The Red Mile is a gambling den you cannot gamble at. And even then, the deadliest challenge in the settled system is extremely easy, just to run up and run down. You run straight up the hill, run back down the hill, and it's just a go time. It's actually really, really easy to complete. It doesn't particularly matter what level you are. Obviously, too low a level and you're going to die in one hit. But if you are a little bit further through the game than most, then you are just going to breeze through this. It's extremely disappointing. It's just my personal opinion. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And a cool piece of information which hit the Reddit the other day was this right here, stating do different bounties from the terminals and you will randomly find other detailed side quests. Now, this is a really good way to be able to find them, as I find that you get quite stagnant inside of the game at points, and some of the side quests can be really, really boring, especially when you start joining factions and stuff like that, and you kind of rinse and repeat the same sort of missions. You want to venture out and do some other things. But it says right here, I see the same criticism of the game a lot, that unlike Skyrim, you won't stumble across random side quests or stories because you aren't walking to your location all the time, so don't have the opportunity to randomly find side quests out in the galaxy. I have found the bounties actively send you to main locations as well as smaller settlements with fully fleshed out quests inside within the galaxy, so you absolutely will have the experience of randomly finding side quests and non-randomized locations with cool content in them. It's different to Skyrim and Fallout, of course, but people talk like you can only find side quests in the main hubs like Atlantis and Neon, but that is just not the case at all in my experience. It's different, and yes, if you just randomly land on a planet with random POIs, this won't be the case, but follow the missions and you will 100% get that old Bethesda feeling of stumbling across deep and engaging side content. This game is huge. Distress signals also are a really cool way to get them. My favorite missions I've stumbled across in these two ways. And these guys are not wrong. I've seen a lot of criticisms with regards to Starfield when it comes to the main sort of like way you find quest lines and stuff like that. And it is just genuinely a basis of randomly finding them whilst doing other missions. You can explore as much as you want for as long as you want, and the likelihood is you won't come across too much because of the amount of load screens that process through on the main storylines. So make sure that you venture out and go ahead and do different bounties from the terminals. You'll find absolutely so much inside of this game for you to do. Now, so we've got time for today. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. I appreciate you all, and as always, I'll see you in the clouds.